Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, the number one network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the number one sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France, and of course you good old boys from Canada. But Big C, that you know we love the Big C tribe in Africa. Thanks for following Big C Sports from the pyramids in Giza. So thanks for following that, Big C. Also, you know we love nobody more than you good old boys down south in the land of the free and the home of the brave. Big C, how's it going for all of you good old boys down south? Yeah.
And we know we got the number one team in college football, probably about the 20th best team in the NFL. They would be able to be allowed in the league.
If that's a big if, Big C. From what I understand, I think Nick Saban said it'd be easier competing against some of the NFL quarterbacks than it is down in the SEC. Big C, that's a good thought for that. Today is a beautiful day. It is actually October the 20th, 2017, in the land of the free, the home of the brave, and so many great things happening in the world of sports, especially this weekend. You can be free to watch football, free to watch basketball, baseball, some soccer, some boxing, anything you want, you can watch, Big C. Your thoughts on being so free, Big C? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure they got. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's always a good thing. Today's segment sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. Big C, kind of some news that's a little bit shocking in the world of sports, because baseball's great and we have some great managers that have a great history of winning. And I don't really think it's a bad thing when you get let go from some place. Go ahead and go where you want it. It's almost like you ever been fired by that good old girlfriend back in the day, and she said she wanted to have you. She wanted to meet you for lunch. You're like, meet me for lunch? What's going on? You say, well, I just want to talk. It's like, okay, but today's my work day. But she want to meet you for lunch so she can tell you she's going to fire you in front of other people. Big C, do you hang around with your head down, or do you go find something new, Big C? Your thoughts? Yeah. Yeah.
When you think about back-to-back winning seasons, being in the playoffs, Charlton.
Yep.
You look at Major League Baseball in the National League. How many teams have been in the playoffs over the past 2 years?
Not a lot.
You think about Dusty Baker, his top 2 players on the roster.
Yeah.
Between them, it's a combined total of 120 games.
Yeah.
But Dusty still was able to take this team into the
Yep.
playoffs.
Yep.
I guess one of the things that when we look at it from an African-American perspective, when we started in the football season with Kevin Sumlin.
Yeah.
Being hounded, because he lost the game to UCLA.
Yeah.
People saying it wasn't enough. And the pressure was put on him right off the back. When you get to the playoffs, Charlton, every team is a great team in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He's not getting there by luck.
Yeah.
He went up against the Cubs, a team who won the World Series
last year.
Charlton.
I know.
It wasn't like he was going to slouch.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It wasn't like he was playing against the Giants.
Yeah. That's a good point.
This is the point that's put out. I want to see how many major league managers lose their job that won 90 games this past season. That's the 196.
Well,
okay?
Yeah. You know what's funny about that when you say that? We could talk about it for the last 100 years if we want to. And people can say, well, when someone's ready for you to go, they're ready for you to go. Even if you're a multi-millionaire like Dusty Baker, he's a good old boy from Sacramento, California, played at Del Campo back in the day, played Major League Baseball, been around the block, took the Giants to the World Series, got the Chicago Cubs into the playoffs, took Cincinnati to the playoffs. Now he got Washington, the Nationals, into the playoffs. But he's traveled more than the guys who never even made the playoffs at all, Big C. There are a lot of guys who haven't made the playoffs. He did it with different teams, okay? Different teams, different personalities. Dusty will land on his feet sooner than the Washington Nationals will land on their feet. It's a joke when you fire a guy with that many wins and that much pedigree, especially losing to a team that won the World Series last year. You always said that, Big C. But, Dusty, you're going to land on your feet. In fact, they did you a favor by not keeping you around such an organization that can't find themselves out of the way. Big C, I do want to bring up a few more things that happen in the world of sports. But before I do that, just am I right on Dusty Baker? Is he better off not being where he's not wanted, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, we see that so frequently. You use the manager as an excuse.
Yeah.
You use him as an excuse for winning, and when your players don't achieve the ultimate goals, he's the reason that you lose.
Yeah.
And Dusty Baker, in this situation, Charlton, you have to look at what has been done to him in the organizations that he's developed. He developed the Giants into a winner. They were able to build that magnificent park downtown in
San Francisco, yeah.
Chicago, lived in obscurity.
Yeah.
He took them to the National League playoffs. All right?
Yeah.
They lose on a controversial play to the Marlins, who goes on and wins the World Series. So you think about the scenarios that he has been in.
Yeah.
He has lost to better teams, Charlton, that have gone on and won the ultimate championship.
Yeah.
So that meant that everybody else that this team played over the course of the season lost to him also.
Yep.
But, you know, I'm looking at the playoffs of all the teams that are in. This guy has to fall. He has to become a scapegoat for his team's lack of success.
Yeah.
In Charlton, but they were a successful team, winning 96 games over the course of the regular season, Charlton.
Yeah.
But, you know, you blame him. And, you know, if the rest of the major league teams that didn't make the playoffs treated their managers like the Nationals treated them,
oh, my goodness.
how many unemployed managers would there be in baseball right now, Charlton?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Now,
But
look at that. How many? There should be at least 20 unemployed managers right now in Major League Baseball if you're comparing them to what Dusty Baker did during the regular season and making the playoffs with the Nationals.
yeah, and I tell you, he needs to go out and find Jeff Fisher's agent, because you can stay around for years, not even get to the playoffs, and they give you a pay raise in the NFL, Big Z. But it could be a thing where Dusty is a smart guy, but they wanted a fall guy as opposed to someone who's been around to win for a long time. But I still say Dusty will land on his feet sooner than the Washington Nationals will. That's just my opinion. Big C, I also want to bring up tonight's game. You know, first of all, I want to go back and congratulate the Dodgers for getting back to the World Series for the first time since 1988, and when they won it against the Oakland Athletics in all California series. And I'm so proud of what they've done over the years. We keep talking about the history of the Dodgers, and they've done their part. I know for TV revenue, and no matter what people agree with it or not, everyone would love to see a Yankees and Dodgers World Series. Big C, congratulations to the Dodgers. Your thoughts on their chances of winning no matter who they play?
29 years, Charlton, since they last graced the World Series.
Yeah.
A long run, and Clayton Kershaw last night, Charlton, was just magnificent. Giving up, only 3 hits in just under 7 innings of pitching.
Yeah.
And that Dodger bullpen, Charlton, has just been phenomenal. They've held the Cubs in check all series long, held them under 200 in batting percentage.
Yeah.
But the Dodgers bats came alive last night, Charlton, in that 11-1 victory on the road in Chicago, of all places.
Yeah.
So this is a team that's not only been dominant at home all year long, Charlton, but even on the road. They went to that stretch late in the season where they lost 16 or 17 games, and everybody was saying, what's wrong with the Dodgers? The Dodgers are getting some rest.
Yeah.
That's what they did. They rested their bats.
Yep.
And now at the most critical time of the season, Charlton, after they had such a copious lead over the rest of the division, is that those bats are waiting, Charlton. They're not tired. Those pitchers are not tired here in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You think about it. They've only lost 1 game in the playoffs. They're 7 of 8, Charlton, here in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So when you only lose 1 game, that means that you have the manager.
Yeah.
Henderson knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
He knew the time to pull the strings during the regular season, to ease off the reins from his horses, Charlton.
Yep.
And now he's got everybody in a full gallop here in the playoffs.
That's a very good point. And speaking of galloping with horses, I want to say this segment sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. So, Big C, we're going to touch on a lot of things today. I do want to get into some college football before we hit on the NFL. Some great games have happened all season long. And we touched on it yesterday. the USC Notre Dame game is always a game where no matter where you are, if you're a college football fan, it's on the radar just like Michigan and Ohio State. It's on the map like Auburn and Alabama or USC and a UCLA. And when I look at these two teams, I think about the tradition. And I think about the tradition that Southern California brings into that game, as well as the tradition that Notre Dame brings into it. It's a great contest. Southern Cal is ranked number 10 in the country. Notre Dame's ranked number 16 actually. And Southern Cal's 5-1, and Notre Dame's also 5-1. That game's going to be at Notre Dame. And so they have a story where they never really cut the grass when California teams come in there because of the speed factor. But we told you that touchdown Jesus, they have him gold, but in the Bible, Jesus is black, according to Revelations chapter 1, verses 14 and 15, in the book of Daniel chapter 10, 7, verse 9, and 10, verse 6. And some people can just Google that too. But give me your thoughts on USC going across the country. Sam Darnold, they're probably going to try to showcase him more than they should. I think they should run the ball more. Just give me your thoughts going into that ball game, Big C.
Well, Charlton, this is a game, if you're talking about running, that's what Notre Dame wants to do. This is a team that has changed its attitude over the past couple of seasons of how they played football.
Yeah.
They become a dominant running team in college football this year.
Yeah.
Over 300 yards a game rushing.
Yeah.
Brian Kelly has adjusted what he's done offensively. He's realized with a freshman quarterback is that he has to have ground control.
Yep.
To not put this quarterback in pressure situation. So it's going to be very imperative on the USC defense that has given up a lot of yards in big games this year, Charlton. They have not been able to control the perimeter of opposing teams, especially in that last game against Utah.
Yeah.
Utah was able to get outside frequently on them because USC's linebackers haven't been playing up to par this year.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a big key to the game. Everybody is saying that Sam Darnold is not playing as bad as we see him playing.
Right. Yeah. That's true.
He's not been a Heisman Trophy caliber quarterback. He's had a wealth of offensive talent. When you look at USC's skill position at the receiver and running back, Charlton,
yep,
they're equal to anybody in the country.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how you utilize them. Do you want to spend more time hyping the quarterback than utilizing all the skills of your offensive set?
Yeah.
And that's what has gotten USC into some offensive struggles that have brought some games down to the last minute this year.
That's a good point.
This is what's going to be a throwback game when you think about teams equally talented, Charlton,
yep,
Notre Dame and USC.
Yeah.
This is one that's going to probably come down to the last possession of the game.
Well, that's always great when they play that way, Big C. You have Notre Dame with a 3.5-point favorite by some of the odds makers. That game is 7:30 Eastern Time on NBC Sports. Another game in your neck of the woods, Big C. LSU ranked number 25 in the country, 5-2 in the season. They're at Mississippi, 3-3. That's a 7:15 start on ESPN. LSU's favored by 6.5, but LSU is a little bit unpredictable. Troy got them at home, and now they're going into Mississippi State, which has been known to upset some teams over the years. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you think about the big comeback victory that they had last week against Auburn.
Yep.
Auburn was the top 10 team in the country.
Yeah.
LSU was down by 20 at halftime and found a way to claw themselves back into that game and come up with that upset victory over Auburn.
Yeah.
But in the SEC, there's so much parity
yep,
in that league with the players, Charlton, that you can always call something an upset.
Yeah.
Teams find their motivation. That's the wonder of college football.
Yeah.
You talk about Troy beating LSU. LSU goes in and dominates Auburn, and everybody says, this is a team that would challenge for the SEC title.
That's true.
Now Auburn has 2 losses on the season.
Yeah.
But this is a game that, you say that LSU should win.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Mississippi is in a rebuilding process after losing their coach to that phone scandal.
Yep.
Prior to the start of the season. But, this is a game you can't go to sleep on.
Yeah.
Mississippi has a quarterback that can throw the football.
Yeah. That's a very good point.
Chad Kelly last year. So when you got a guy that can put the ball in the air in college football,
yeah,
good things can happen or bad things can happen. And this game will be a lot closer than what people expect, Charles.
That's a good point, basically. Let's go down to the Southwest. We have number 11, Oklahoma State, which was rolling earlier in the year, 5-1 on the season. They're at Texas, 3-3, which has been playing close but not winning everything. They're Oklahoma State's favorite by 7, and that's a game at noontime on the ABC Sports. I know Texas is kind of they have so many good athletes. I don't care what their record ends up being. I think about the athletes they have with this team. This is a team too good to have 3 losses out of 6 games. They're only winning at a 50% clip. And when you fire a guy who has an undefeated team in South Florida, you would think that they would have more success right now. I think Oklahoma State wins that, even though it's at Texas. But I'm impressed by the athletes at Texas, Big C. Your thoughts on why they're not winning, Big C?
Well, you got to look at the atmosphere in Texas.
Yeah.
And then sometimes things go away for such a long time that people forget to fix the leaks that you have in the system.
Yeah.
And that's what happened at Texas. When you think about what Mac Brown was running, and you look at the last couple of years of Mac Brown's tenure at the University of Texas.
Yeah.
Is that the team slipped a little bit. It was almost like the Philip Fulmer scenario at the University of Tennessee. They said, well, you're not winning 12 games. You know, you only won 9 games, you only won 10 games. So we feel that you're not what we want around here. And
yeah.
So this is the biggest problem with alumni.
Yep. Yeah.
That they keep expecting everybody to go undefeated in college football.
No, not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. There's too much parity. And you say, look at the athletes there at the University of Texas. Well, Charles, look at the athletes at Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Look at the athletes at TCU. Look at the athletes at all the universities in the Big 12, Oklahoma State, Charles.
Yeah.
There's some tremendous athletes, and prior to a couple of years ago, Baylor was on the top of the heap in that conference.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful what you ask for. Just like with the Nationals and Dusty Baker said, okay, we can find something better because this kid, you know, Herman was at a lesser school.
Yep.
Okay, they weren't Texas, even though Houston is in Texas.
Yeah.
They weren't Texas. They didn't play in the Big 12 week in, week out.
Yeah.
You got to be careful because the talent level that he was playing against probably wasn't as equal to the talent level in the Big 12.
Yeah.
So it allowed him to have success over a couple of years. But when you walk into a situation, everybody thinks that there's going to be instant success. Oh, we brought in Herman.
Yeah.
You know, he won 12 games in Houston last year.
Yeah.
Double-digit wins. You know, you won't even be a 500 team at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing about the system that you brought him into that was equal to the system that he left.
Yeah, that's true.
The situation that Texas is in. The players that Herman had recruited at the University of Houston
Yeah.
knew what he was about as a coach and as a system,
Yeah.
which allowed them to develop and play at the level that they were. He's coming into a broken system at the University of Texas.
Yeah.
And it's like a mechanic getting a car that's been totaled. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
You might be able to restore it, but it's still not a new car. And that's what Texas is right now.
It's still a salvage vehicle. We have Maryland 3-3 at number 5, Wisconsin 6-0. That game at noontime on Fox Sports. Wisconsin's favored by 24. Remember that same Maryland team beat Texas to open the season. We have Temple at Army. Temple's 3-4 at Army's 5-2. Louisville 4-3 at Florida State 2-3. That was a big game coming up on the season, Big C. But now both teams have taken their lumps. Florida State is actually favored by 5. That game is noontime on ESPN. Another big game. I know we couldn't get out of by asking you about Tennessee 3-3 at number 1. Alabama 7-0 on the season, ranked number 1 in the universe. Actually, it seems that game's at 3:30 on CBS. Alabama's favored by 35.5. If you're a Tennessee team, how are you a 35-point underdog when you have such proud organization there and so many great athletes? Big C, your thoughts? Yeah.
I think both teams went orange, by the way.
Yeah, that's true.
You can't live on your laurels in college football.
Yeah.
Those players don't play anymore.
Yeah.
They're not running out of the tunnel. You're Peyton Manning, T. Martin, players like that are not coming out of the tunnel any longer for Tennessee. So the players that you have left, and the biggest thing to control now in college football, and that's the reason why you need to have a coach who's been in your program for a decade or more.
Yeah.
Is that he can control the players that he brings in.
Yep.
He can control how they react around the media, how they act on the field. But as you get these new coaches evolving and going through this revolving door in college football,
Yeah.
they lack discipline. You think about what Charlie Strong has done down in Florida since leaving Texas. He tried to instill the discipline in Texas.
Yep.
But that Texas mentality is what like that SMU put on the death penalty back in the 80s, okay?
Yeah.
You can have the posters involved, they can do whatever they want. You got these kids saying, my daddy, okay?
Yep.
The only daddy you have in college football is your head coach.
Yeah.
That's your daddy now.
That's a good point, Big C.
You don't want to listen to your real daddy that you got for the next 4 years. And I think we heard that in a movie, Remember the Titans. Okay?
Yeah. Denzel Washington.
That line.
Yeah.
When he had, back when segregation was still a part of, high school, college athletics.
Yeah.
And these 2 kids that were going to run him off, he said, I'm your daddy now.
Yep.
I'm your daddy.
Yeah.
And they'd never heard that before.
Yeah.
From a minority perspective. But that's
Yep.
Because he has to get rid of everybody that was in the previous regime.
Yeah.
Okay? He's got to get rid of other people's kids.
Yeah.
That's what he has to do.
Yeah.
He has to have his own kids in where he's their dad.
Yeah.
And now they're listening. And so when you look at Nick Saban at Alabama,
yeah.
he's the daddy of that program, okay?
Yeah.
Everybody listens to Nick.
That's funny.
He's the alpha male.
Yeah.
When you look at the top tier programs, Urban Meyer, he's the daddy of Ohio State. He has nobody left over from the previous coach of Finkel and Tressel.
No.
Those are all of his kids.
Yep.
Jim Harbaugh is still trying to get rid of kids from the previous coach, okay? They're
yep.
still not all his kids at Michigan. But when you look at Wisconsin, they're a top team, okay?
Yeah.
You know, that coach there, Charlton, those are his kids. He's raised them.
Yeah.
So they know how to respect him and react to him. You look at what Franklin has done at Penn State.
Yeah.
He's turned that program around with his kids.
Yeah.
That's who he's playing. And so when we talk about these coaches, let's get rid of him and bring somebody else in.
Yeah.
You think about that as a parent. How are your kids going to react to somebody else coming in the house?
Yeah, and you know.
Stepfather and stepmother.
Yeah.
It's not the same, and they're not going to behave the same.
That's good. That's a very good point. There's a lot of blended families in the country, and sometimes the grass is not always greener on the other side of the fence. Sometimes it's just straight up AstroTurf, Big C. And speaking of AstroTurf, we have Colorado 4-3 out in the Pac-12. They're at number 18, Washington State 6-1. That's a 10:45 p.m. kickoff on the ESPN. That's Eastern time start. And Washington State's favored by 10. But I know Falk had hurt his hand at the Cal game, and they played with all the smoke in the air. And so some of the shine has fallen off of his Heisman Trophy chase, but he's still a very good quarterback. Your thoughts on Mike Leach getting the good old boys up at Washington State ready for the Buffaloes coming in town, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, you know, Colorado's turned around their program for the past couple years. They're a very surprising team in the Pac last year.
Yeah.
You know, since the McCarthy era, no one has played that well in Colorado. But
yeah.
Last year they had the coach of the year in the conference.
Yep.
But Mike Leach, you know, has done an admirable job up in Pullman, Washington, Charlton, turning around this Cougar program.
Yeah.
It was one of those things that happen in college football. Your quarterback gets injured, you can so much accuracy
yeah.
that they had no offense after his hand was injured in the game last week.
Yeah.
It's going to be very imperative to see how his hand responds over this week with treatment. You know, will he be able to grip the football and deliver it down the field?
Yeah.
If he's not able to throw, Charlton, one of the things about having a star quarterback on the college rank
yeah.
is that they normally play the entire game.
Yeah.
And your backup really doesn't get an opportunity to come in and get, you know, adequate reps.
Yeah, that's a good point.
In a meaningful situation other than in practice.
Yeah.
So he's not up to game speed, and that always hurts a top-flight program when that number one quarterback goes down, and we saw that last week with Washington State. Colorado has an excellent quarterback.
Yeah.
This is a team that can move the ball offensively. They can throw the ball as well as anybody other than the Washington quarterback team.
Yeah.
So look for a shootout, Charles.
Yeah.
In this game.
It should be, but you know, also, I think perhaps the biggest game, I mean, we talk about Notre Dame at home versus USC. That's a big game for college football. It is big for the Pac-12. If UFC doesn't win that game, the Pac-12 is probably knocked out of the college football championship race. I'm not, yeah.
It's big for the playoff picture, period.
Yeah.
Notre Dame is really the only independent out there that can make the playoffs. Okay?
Yeah, yeah. And you
have one loss on their ledger against Georgia.
Yeah.
Who is the number 3 team in the country, number 2 in some polls.
Yeah.
So they have a quality loss against Georgia when you want to talk about a loss being a quality loss.
Yeah. And you
to stay in the playoff hunt. I mean, USC, the Pac-12 is probably finished as far as it goes.
Yeah.
Unless USC starts blowing people out, because people will look at the quality of victories that USC has had.
Yeah.
They haven't dominated anybody. That's what the playoff committee looks at. How dominant are you down the stretch? You know,
yeah.
through your teams. And USC still has to face what? Washington.
They still got to play against the North champion, which could be Stanford. I think it's going to be Stanford or Washington, one of those two. So they do have a lot cut out for them because those are big time games. Big C, another huge game up north. We talked about Harbaugh earlier. Number 15 Michigan at 5-1 on the season. They're at number 2 ranked Penn State, depending on what poll. Now Penn State won it all last year, but they got snubbed when it comes to the playoffs. That's a 7:30 Eastern time kickoff on the ABC Sports. Penn State is favored by 9.5 points against a Jim Harbaugh coach team. I think that's too many points, but Penn State looks awfully good, Big C. Your thoughts on the game? The team that wins this game is still in the hunt for the college playoffs, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, there's 2 organizations sitting around watching this game with close eyes. Okay?
Yeah.
It's called the Indianapolis coaching the Chicago Bears.
Yep.
They're sitting there praying that Michigan loses this game. Because Jim Harbaugh has a job in the NFL if he loses this game.
Yeah.
He will be in either Indianapolis or Chicago next year if he loses this game.
Yeah.
Franklin has done a tremendous job at Penn State. He has Barkley, the running back.
Yeah.
I think he's probably the best player in the country. And as far as his overall skills, how they relate on the field, he's like a McCaffrey that's a better athlete.
Yeah.
And not many people remember McCaffrey from Stanford last year, who was robbed of the Heisman Trophy 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Because he was the best player in the country. But
Yep.
because he played on the West Coast, that East Coast bias doesn't allow him to win the trophy, Charlton.
Yeah.
But that's what you have in Shaquan Barkley at Penn State. A tremendous athlete. Michigan has had problems at quarterback this year. They have inconsistency.
Yeah.
They have a tremendous defense, but is it enough to stave off this powerful Penn State offense? And if you're not producing points offensively, and we've seen Michigan been in some lows the past couple of weeks,
Yeah.
Penn State's been on a high.
Yeah.
So this is a game that I like Penn State in, and I like Jim Harbaugh looking at either Chicago or Indianapolis next year.
Last thing on college football, Big C. I know there's a lot of teams that are off. We already talked about ranked number 3, Georgia's on hiatus this week. Number 6, Ohio State. Number 8, Clemson. Number 12, Washington. Number 17, North Carolina State. Number 22, Stanford. And number 24, Texas A&M. They're off. Last college football game I want to preview. But I do want to show a thought out to Fresno State at 4-2 on the season at San Diego State 6-1. And that game is going to be on Comcast Sports Bay Area. San Diego State's favorite by 7 for a team that won one game last year. Really like to see Fresno State getting back on top. They've had so many good athletes come over there through the years. I look at Miami. The Hurricanes ranked number 7 in the country. They're 5-0. They had a last-second win against Georgia Tech last week. Syracuse knocks off Clemson. Syracuse 4-3. And they're going on the road to Miami. The Hurricanes are favored only by 3 points at home. Are they emotionally spent, or do they have enough to knock off Syracuse and prevent the upset? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you think about this game. This game was in Clemson. I mean, in Syracuse last week, Charlton.
Yeah.
Clemson lost their quarterback to a concussion.
Yep.
I'm not knocking the Syracuse program, Charlton, because they played a tremendous game.
Oh, yeah.
Great athletes, very intelligent academic school.
Yeah.
These players led by a young head coach with all the promise in the world. If he was at a major university, Charlton,
Yep.
we'd be talking about him as coach of the year.
Yeah.
But he's at Syracuse, and I mean, he doesn't have Jim Brown or Ernie Davis before he does.
Yeah, that's true.
But he gets the best out of his players.
Yeah.
Miami, Mark Rick has come down and resurrected a program that's been a little quiet since Larry Coker days. All
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so this is an opportunity for Miami to bring itself back to hurricane lore.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
I don't think that Syracuse can compete with Miami in this game. You think about it. Syracuse is an indoor team that plays on turf.
Yeah.
You play down in Miami in the swamp half the time. The humidity is going to be high. The field is going to be moist. The grass is going to be tall.
Yeah.
So it is a clear advantage to the Canes. You think about Georgia Tech having to go down there and play in that slippery field. And they were an opposite team.
Yeah.
So if they weren't able to hold on to the ball in the rain that they had last week, or keep their footing in Miami last week. So I give the Canes a true advantage in this game, Charlton. I look forward to Miami staying undefeated. Mark Rick hopefully will get the ACC into that playoff chase, Charlton, and be that team that we knew back in the 80s and 90s, led by Jimmy Johnson, Howard Snellenberger.
Yep. A lot of great coaches that come through Miami. I do want to say sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. And for every sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with professional teams, your college teams, your high school teams, even your mom and pop soccer leagues. When you reach out to them, let them know that Big C sent you. Big C, we'll run down the NFL real quick for the second half of the program. Last night, the Raiders got a win. I think they got a win 4 times. The good old boys down in Las Vegas, they didn't know what. They were up and down, happy in 1 minute, sad the next minute. Have you ever seen 4 touchdown passes that were either overruled or a penalty call within the last 10 seconds of an NFL ball game? Big C, your thoughts? Yeah.
How the officials have regulated who and who is not going to win a football game.
Yep.
And this was a game that, it left people, wondering even after the game was over, what did I see?
What did I just see? Yeah.
There were so many strange twists to this game. It was like a mystery novel more than it was a football game, Charlton.
Yeah.
I mean, here's Derek Carr last week like he couldn't even get out the recliner.
Yep.
Goes out and throws for 417 yards last night.
Amazing.
Michael Crabtree was like the Michael Crabtree we had seen before.
Yeah.
Who was not able to get open for the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Marshawn Lynch, looked like something out of a gangster movie, running off the sideline, getting to an official.
Yeah.
Got suspended for a game by the NFL today.
Yeah.
But, this is what we talked about in this Raiders-Chief rivalry over the decades, Charlton. Always expect the unexpected. This reminds me of a game, Charlton, I believe it was around 71-72.
Yeah.
When the Raiders were playing in old Municipal Stadium in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
I mean, not Minneapolis, but Kansas City.
Kansas City, yeah.
When there was a fight that broke out. Ben Davison, Lynn Dawson, Morris Stroud.
Yeah.
George Brandon won the game on a 46-yard field goal.
Yeah.
Similar to Derek Carr last night, winning it on the last-second touchdown pass. It took me all the way back, Charlton, some 40 years, 45 years.
Yeah.
When this happened, and I'm like, gosh, I've seen this play out before.
Yeah. It wouldn't be football if it didn't have the Raiders and Chiefs going at it, Big C. This weekend, looking at Week 7 preview, the Buccaneers 2-3 at the Bills 3-2. That game is on Sunday at 1 o'clock by Chris Myers, Daryl Johnson, and Laura Oakman have the play-by-play. Winston was hurt last week against Arizona. They brought in Fitzpatrick. Your thoughts on the Buccaneers going into the Bills? The Bills look pretty good, Big C, especially with the way the quarterback's playing. Your thoughts?
The Bills have had a dominant defensive team, Charlton. Their offense has been a little inconsistent.
Yeah.
Winston hurt his shoulder last week, and they expected him to start this week. I don't know if you should start Jameis, Charlton. You're playing against one of the better defensive lines in the NFL, and you got a quarterback with a gimpy shoulder. All it takes is one good solid hit, and you can lose Jameis for a month.
Yeah.
I think this is one that you play it out with Fitzpatrick. Let him see if he can keep the game close and hopefully win it in the end. But to put Jameis Winston out, and we see what happened with quarterbacks with bad shoulders.
Yeah.
Andrew Luck still hasn't taken a snap this year.
Yeah, that's a good point, Big C. A huge game up in the great north, Big C. You have the Cincinnati Bengals. They're only 2-3, but they have won the last two. They're at the Steelers 4-2, which played well enough to beat Kansas City and snap their win streak last week on the road at Arrowhead Stadium, which is a tough place to play. One of the largest, I guess one of the loudest crowds in the league, according to them good old boys from Kansas City, according to them, and Seattle's between them 1 and 2. That game Sunday, 1 o'clock on CBS Sports. The great Jim Nantz with Tony Romo, who's going to tell us what's going to happen before the ball is snapped, Big C, and Tracy Wolfson, Big C. Your thought on that game?
Well, Charlton, this is one of those rivalry games. It seems like the Cincinnati Bengals are always the little brother to the Steelers, okay?
Yeah.
They just find a way to bow down to the Steelers year in, year out. I mean, whether it's Vontaze Burfict taking a cheap shot on Antonio Brown, getting kicked out of the game, and costing field position, and the Steelers kicking a game-winning field goal, or Ben Roethlisberger going deep, or Le'Veon Bell breaking off a run, scoring the game-winning touchdown. The Cincinnati Bengals seem to shoot themselves in the foot every time they play the Steelers. I go back about a half a decade ago when the Bengals actually had a chance to get to the Super Bowl when they had Carson Palmer, and unfortunately, he was knocked out of the game with a knee injury.
Yeah.
Okay? For some reason, the Bengals always come up short against the Steelers, and I think the Steelers are on an emotional high right now after knocking off Kansas City last week, Joe.
Yeah, the Steelers, they have the ability to turn around. We know that. The Ravens really don't know what they're going to do. They're up and down. They're 3-3 on the season. They're at the Dome playing the Minnesota Vikings 4-2. That game is Sunday, 1 o'clock kickoff time on Fox Sports. Greg Gumbel, Trent Green, and Jamie Erdahl have the play-by-play. Last night I saw some great football, and I saw players that could perform in the clutch, like Carr in the clutch. He was solid. They had a big 85-yard drive to beat the Chiefs 4 times, even though they got credit for it. Watch Big Z. Your thoughts on Joe Flacco? Does he have enough left in the tank to go into the Vikings in the Dome and win a game at Minnesota, Big C? Your thoughts?
Charlton, I think Joe Flacco might be moving into Jay Cutler neighborhood.
Yeah.
Every time I see him playing, it's like, do I care?
Yeah.
You like to see some spark and emotion from a quarterback periodically. I mean, we get a lot of it from Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
You think about the emotion that he utilizes as a quarterback.
Yeah.
And he's not too far from Baltimore. I mean, these two quarterbacks play about 40, 45
Yeah.
apart.
That's true.
Well, you have one quarterback that's fiery, one quarterback like he's sitting back having a martini all day long, okay?
Hey, maybe he is.
Joe Flacco, I mean, I look in Joe's eyes. I'm not.
Hey, Hey, don't be looking in the man's eyes, Big C. That's the fighting words. Yeah.
You like to feel a little emotion.
Yeah.
I look at the press, how they beat up Cam Newton for displaying emotion. Well, you shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
You should be more subdued. You shouldn't be enthusiastic.
Yep.
You get that from a Zach Prescott. No one questions Tom Brady's emotion when he's throwing a fist, pumping, head butting a player when he's throwing a touchdown. No one gets on Aaron Rodgers when he does a discount double check.
Yeah.
He runs up and head butts his lineman.
Yeah.
But when we get these other quarterbacks and they show lack of emotion or enthusiasm, they say, well, he's just a laid-back player.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you got to drug test the guy.
That's true, Big C. You remind me of that song by the great Frankie Beverly. He said, I can tell by the look in your eyes. I mean, when you talk about look in the eyes, I think about that great song by the Frankie Beverly. I know he sounded a lot better than I did, Big C, so don't hold me. I know. Don't ask for your tickets back. The Jets 3-3 at the Dolphins 3-2. Talking about sleeping. Sunday at 1 o'clock, CBS Sports. Dan Healy, Chris Spielman, and Peter Shaker have the play-by-play. And I don't know what to expect out of the Dolphins, but I think the Jets are playing pretty decent football of late. Big C, your thoughts on having the chance to go to Miami and get the win?
Yeah. The Dolphins got lucky in Atlanta last week, even though the Falcons are not the team that everybody thought that they were. Okay?
Yeah.
They scored, but they don't know how to play defense in the second half. They're 2 plays away from being a 1-5 team.
Yeah.
The Jets, McCown has surprised everybody. Everybody said the New York team would be tanking it, looking for a number 1 draft pick.
Yeah.
But they picked the wrong team in that stadium.
Yeah.
The other team is tanking it.
Yeah.
They might be looking to move their quarterback if they get one of these top quarterbacks coming out of college football. Never think. His brother moved after everybody thought he would always retire coach.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
After 12, 13 years in the league, you got to say, okay, he can't play another 10.
Yeah.
But if we can get a guy that can play another 10 to 12, is it time for him to move on?
That's a good point, Big C. Now, there's a big game in the NFC West. The Arizona Cardinals, they're 3-3, and I think Adrian Peterson really has added some moonshine in their cup, so they seem to be on stride now. They're at the Rams 4-2, and it's about seeing Gurley, the new up-and-coming, I think, future Hall of Famer, if they take care of him and get a line that can block for him. And you have Adrian Peterson. We know he's going to be a Hall of Famer, Big C. And these 2 good old boys rolling around on the turf at the LA Coliseum Sunday, 1 o'clock on Fox Sports. The great Sam Rosen, Ronde Barber, Christina Peak, and they have that game. Actually, it's going to be at London Stadium. That's going to be that game is being played in London. But your thoughts on those 2 great running backs and what they mean to their teams, Big C, the Cardinals at the Rams in London?
Well, the success that the Rams have had this year, Charlton, ironically, has gone through Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
Everyone is looking at the development of Jared Goff. Jared Goff's development came because he allowed Todd Gurley to take the pressure off of him with his running game and also catching those swing passes out of the backfield.
Yeah.
Todd Gurley gets 25 touches a game, the Rams win.
Yeah.
And we've seen that in their victories this year. When he hasn't had 25 touches, the Rams have lost both of those games. Look at what Adrian Peterson brought that spark to the Arizona offensive last week.
Yeah.
23 rushes, plus a couple of catches. And this is what I constantly speak about. A running back has to touch the ball 25 times offensively for a team to win.
Yeah.
He's not going to touch the ball 25 times offensively. Then all that pressure's on the quarterback.
Yeah.
You no longer have to play 7, 8 players in the box. You can come with a 5- and 6-man coverage all the time.
Yeah.
And this is going to shut down the quarterback's ability.
That's a good point.
If you're a quarterback and you're so egotistical because you're making $100+ million, $150 million, that you don't have to key your ball to the running back.
Yeah.
Your defense hates you, trust me.
That's a good point, Big C. We have another big game, if you call it a big game for teams. I look at the Panthers at 4-2, Carolina. They're at the Bears 2-4 now. It should be a win by Carolina. And that game's Sunday, 1 o'clock on CBS Sports. Iron Eagle, the great Dan Fouts, Evan Washburn with the play-by-play. I look at Cam Newton, who attempted 52 passes against the Eagles last week. And that's because Jonathan Stewart didn't have a great rushing game. I got to see more production out of the Panthers' run game. But your thoughts on Carolina going to Chicago? Not a team they should take lightly because it should be a decent win. But your thoughts on Cam Newton going into the Windy City, Big C?
Well, Charles, this is a game that the media is beating up on Cam Cam Newton all week because he's missed his last two press conferences. Now, you watch these other networks that broadcast the team press conferences, Charlton, and I'm trying to remember the last time I saw Joe Flacco in a press conference.
I don't.
Yeah. Simeon.
Yeah.
Many of these other quarterbacks around the NFL, Charlton, it always seems to be gravitating to Carolina to be broadcast on this broadcast network, television broadcast network, his press conference. Everybody's being so prescient about what Cam Newton is saying. It's irrelevant. No one has seen McNown all year long.
Yeah.
From the Jets.
Yeah.
And especially Eli Manning in a press conference, Charlton. We're not seeing certain quarterbacks. So why is all the media attention thrown to Cam Newton and not being at a press conference, and they're talking about he should be disciplined by the league?
Yeah.
Show all 32 starting quarterbacks every week in their press conference. Don't single out the African-American quarterback saying that we want to put all this pressure on him. He lost his sponsorship by being at a press conference.
Yeah.
But I'm not getting the same feedback from the rest of the NFL or these broadcast companies, Charlton, about why they're not showing these other quarterbacks and they're so focused on Cam Newton.
That's a very good point, Big C. I look at the Saints 3-2 at the Packers 4-2. And what will they do without the great Aaron Rodgers? That game is Sunday, 1 o'clock, kickoff time on Fox Sports. Kenny Albert, Charles Davis. I really love his work, along with the great Pam Oliver. And you look at what happened and what happened with Rodgers last week. How will Green Bay emotionally respond to it? They always say is next man up. Your thoughts on the Saints going into the Packers? And Drew Brees doesn't have the same competition to compete against, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you got to look at the Saints defense in this game, Charlton. The Saints defense has been playing wonderful the past 3 weeks.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
They beat up on Detroit last week. They held the highest paid man in football.
Yep.
Neal.
Yep.
Okay? They shut him down.
Yeah.
This is Huntley's, first start in the NFL, Charlton. But Green Bay has had some success with their backup quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You've had the guy around in the program for 3 years, so you're aware of his abilities. You're not pressing going out trying to sign somebody else because he knows the offense.
Yeah.
And everybody says, this is the crap that they said last year about Dak Prescott. Well, they've got a package for him. They're not going to give him the full offense.
Yeah.
He knows the full offense, Charlton. He's been running this offense for 3 years.
Yeah.
So you don't water down the offense for these African-American quarterbacks. I keep hearing that. Every time there's an African-American quarterback, they're watering down the offense. No one said that about Paxton Lynch last year in Denver when Trevor Simeon got hurt. Oh, they're going to water down the offense for him.
So he can understand. Yeah, that's true.
I look at Jacoby Brissett who came into Indianapolis. They watered down the offense. He was so intelligent, he picked up the offense in a week.
That's a very good point.
I'm saying that you watered down the offense for these African-American quarterbacks because they're just as intelligent as the white quarterback.
Yeah.
And they have a little more moxie about them. So I don't see Huntley having any problem. Coming into the game last week, Charlton, he was not prepared to come into the game, just like many other backup quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah.
And especially sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for 2.5 years,
Yep.
you don't expect to play.
That's a good point.
Coming into the game, he wasn't up to game speed, but he's had a chance to work at that all week long, Charlton.
Very good point. Tennessee Titans 3-3 on the season at the Cleveland Browns 0-6, and they've just gotten accustomed to losing. That game is Sunday, 1 o'clock on CBS Sports. Spiro Davis and Adam Archuleta have the play-by-play. DeMarco Murray he's a guy that gets everything done for the Titans, even though Henry had 131 yards rushing and a 72-yard touchdown against Indianapolis. Your thoughts on that running game? That the Titans have such a dominant running game, and Deshaun Kaiser is going to get the start this week for Cleveland. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is what this team was built on, mobility out of the backfield.
Yeah.
You brought in these two big running backs. Murray in Philadelphia had the lackluster year, but 4 years ago he led the NFL in rushing, Charlton.
Yeah.
People forget that. Not just a short time ago in Dallas, he was an NFL workhorse. You bring in Henry, who holds the SEC rushing record. Broke Herschel Walker's rushing record in the SEC with over 2,200 yards rushing in his final year there, won the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
So you have these two backs that you 1A and 1B, basically. It doesn't make any difference who you had in the backfield. They're going to pound that bread on you, Charles.
Yeah.
You got Marcus Mariota, who was back last week.
Yeah.
He was limited athletically, but him being limited is twice as good as Matt Castle that they had to bring in a week prior to that when he was out.
Yeah.
They had to water down the offense for Charlton. Okay?
Yeah.
They had to give him a limited playbook because he's not a large.
Yeah.
No one said that they had to water down the playbook for Matt Castle in that loss for Tennessee.
Yep.
But Tennessee will just have its day with Cleveland.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate for whoever's playing quarterback at Cleveland right now, Charlton, but you got to look at the Central Division. The Titans are the best team in that division.
Oh, yeah. They're a very good team. Very solid. The Jaguars 3-3 at the Colts, 2-4. That game is Sunday, 1 o'clock on Fox Sports. Tom McCarthy, Steve Berline, and Steve Tasker have the play-by-play on that one. I look at Jacksonville's defense. They played pretty good football. They're playing a good football style, and I know they've been kind of at the bottom of the division over the years, but your thoughts on the Jaguars at the Colts 2-4 that can't seem to get a win other than beating teams like the 49ers, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, this is a scenario with Jacksonville. Leonard Fournette has an ankle injury.
Yeah.
So it's going to be questionable whether he's in that game. If he's not in that game, this is a pretty even matchup.
Yeah.
The Jacksonville Jaguars have a great defense. They spent the past couple of years building that defense, but their vulnerability is their quarterback.
Yeah.
You know, that's what their true vulnerability is. This is a team that should have made a trade and got a veteran quarterback in that can play.
Yeah.
Because Bortles is not the answer. He will never make them a championship caliber team. But the biggest scenario right now, Charlton, going on is in Indianapolis. Think about this. You have Andrew Luck, who most likely is not going to play this year, that everybody thinks is a savior in the NFL.
Yeah.
You traded for Jacoby Brissett, who is getting better and better as the weeks goes on, Charlton. Think about that. Here's a guy, if he develops, and if he can get 5 more victories for the Colts on this season, Andrew Luck will be traded because there will be no need to keep him around because the Colts evaluation, they're going to get rid of Fagano.
Yeah.
They'll sit there and say, okay, this guy's injury prone. Everybody knows he has a tremendous upside.
Yeah.
This is a guy that it could be a Herschel Walker trade type player. Okay?
Yeah.
That when you got 11 players, Jimmy Johnson got 11 players from the Minnesota Vikings for Herschel Walker.
Yeah.
Built a championship organization. This is the same scenario that a team will do for Andrew Luck. If Jacoby Brissett continues to develop as a quarterback, New England had faith in him.
Yeah.
They had faith in him. That's why they drafted and kept him on the roster. He became available in a trade because New England got 3 players for him. Think about it. They got 3 players for Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah.
Now, if they can go out and trade Andrew Luck, if Jacoby Brissett continues to develop,
you're
talking about a team that can get anywhere from 7 to 8 players for Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
You talk about upgrading your organization. You got one player that's going to get beat up the rest of his career. He's been hit more than any quarterback in the games that he's played during his time than any other quarterback in the NFL. So it's just like that running back scenario. The trend's a little thin right now on Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
His shoulder, who knows what it is.
Yeah.
Let Brissett develop, trade Andrew Luck when the season is over.
That's a lot of money they can get off the table, Big C. The Dallas Cowboys at 2-3, and they're America's darlings, having some issues there, but they're going to San Francisco, which is 0-6, and their last win came when Colin Kaepernick was quarterback in that team. That was last year at the Coliseum, and that game is Sunday, 4:05 kickoff on Fox Sports. Tom Brenneman, Troy Aikman, and Aaron Andrews with the play-by-play. It looks like Ezekiel Elliott won a temporary restraining order, and he'll probably be playing this game, Big C. But the 49ers haven't had a win since last year. Your thoughts on this game, Big C?
Well, also the last time that the 49ers beat the Cowboys, I think Colin Kaepernick was playing quarterback.
Yeah.
For him.
Yeah.
So, from the looks of things, he's not going to be coming out of that tunnel for him. And not only that, is that they're going to start their rookie quarterback job.
Yeah.
They're benching Hoyer this week.
Yeah.
So, really, the 49ers are tanking the season again already.
Now, let me ask you.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Lynch and Shanahan already are tanking the season. 49er fans don't expect a victory this year, really.
You know,
right now, they're playing to draft a quarterback. They're looking at Rosen. They're looking at Donald.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing right now in San Francisco. They are not trying to win a game. Dallas will end up winning this game quite easily. The 49ers got rid of Navarro Bowman on defense.
Yeah.
Everybody said the Jets would be tanking.
Yeah.
The 49ers, and I know the commissioner, and I admire Roger Goodell for this week standing up, manning up for the players in the NFL, the African-American players.
Yeah.
But right now, he needs to throw an investigation into San Francisco because this is a team that's intentionally tanking. They dismayed their team from the past couple of years ago. They tore it down from management. Now, the inner management, the head coach and the GM are intentionally tanking so that they can draft Josh Rosen or Sam Donald out of UCLA USC.
And you know, it's amazing. They still had a guy that took that organization to their last Super Bowl, but for some reason, they find guys that can't win games. The Seattle Seahawks are in a big game for them because they travel across the country. They're 3-2 on the season at the New York Giants 1-5. That game is Sunday at 4:25 p.m. kickoff on Fox Sports. Andrew Calalon and James Lofton with the play-by-play. Seattle should win this game, but have an early start for them on West Coast guys. But you know, if you look at the Giants, they played well at Denver. Your thoughts on Seattle being focused in playing an early game against the Giants? The Giants really have no offense, but Seattle doesn't have much either, Big C. Your thoughts on that game?
Well, we saw last week the Giants won last week, Charles.
Yeah.
Eli Manning completed 11 passes, and he was a genius.
Yeah.
You know, as a matter of fact, he probably got the MVP of the game.
Yeah.
But that defense played well last week. They got Cromartie back off suspension, so that may motivate them.
Yeah.
But they have no receivers, and we know that the Legion of Boom in Seattle is a tremendous defense when they want to be.
Yeah.
They have 3 outstanding defensive backs in Seattle.
Yep.
That defensive line is very full. There's been some trades in all season to make it even better. They're playing with a lot of motivation to come to the nation's media capital in New York.
Yeah.
And make a statement. I think this is a big game for Seattle to show that they're back on track and that they're ready to contend for the NFC West.
Very good point. The Denver Broncos 3-2 at the Chargers out west 2-4. That game's Sunday 4:25 kickoff on Fox Sports. The great Kevin Harlan and the great Richard Gannon have the play-by-play. And I don't know what to say about both teams. The Broncos have a great defense, but they're just finding ways not to win games, especially dropping at home to the Giants, Big C. Your thoughts on the Broncos at the Chargers in Carson, California, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, you know, you're coming from Mile High to the smallest facility.
Yeah.
You have more fans at training camp than what the Denver will have at this game in Carson, California.
Yeah.
The Chargers are a team, Charlton, that find ways to lose.
Yeah.
That's what they do. They find ways to lose. I mean, Denver has to still be, shell-shocked from what happened to them last week against the Giants.
Yeah.
That you let a quarterback only complete 11 passes. We know Phillip Rivers will complete twice that many passes in the game, Charlton.
Yeah.
This is a game that, just like last week against the Giants, they have the same type of quarterback.
Yeah.
An immobile quarterback in the pocket. This is a game that Denver's defense is really going to have to get after Phillip Rivers, hold Gordon, the running back, in check, and hopefully Anderson and Charles can get off the side with Denver this week and pick up some yards on the ground.
Big C, final 2 games, a big game in the NFC East. The Washington Redskins 3-2 at the Philadelphia Eagles 4-2. That's going to be the Monday night game at 8:30 kickoff time on the East Coast. ESPN Sports has it with Sean McDonough and Job McGruden, as well as the great Lisa Salters with the play-by-play. I tell you, this is going to really shape what's happening in the NFC East because both have high-paying quarterbacks. I think Philly has a better defense. Your thoughts on the Redskins going into the Philadelphia, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, ironically, this game is for the NFC East title.
Yeah.
It is early in the season. If Philadelphia wins this game, the East is over.
Yeah.
If Washington wins this game, all of a sudden you got to change in balance in the conference. You give them all the confidence in the world because it has been proven that the quarterback in Washington cannot
Kirk Cousins? Yeah, Cousins.
Kirk Cousins has fallen short in big games. Everybody has anointed, the Wentz as the next one.
Yeah.
Period. He's been anointed already as the next one. They talked about Steve Young comparison. I'm like, who?
maybe more Roger Worski. Yeah.
The comparison's a little off.
Yeah.
Just on that alone. But, everybody's talking about his maturation that he's gone through here in the second year in the NFL. How he's seen the field, much better. The game has slowed down, even though he has better talent around him this year. It's amazing that when you upgrade the talent, that the quarterback gets better. I think they're synonymous with each other.
Yep, that's the point.
I can't figure it out, but, if you got better talent around you, that means that you got guys that can make plays. It doesn't mean that you're any better.
Yeah.
It means that you got guys that can make plays. But the quarterback will always get the praise in that scenario. But, Kirk Cousins, this is a do-or-die game in his career for him, ironically.
Yep.
If he can't beat Carson Wentz now, Charlton, he's going to have to leave Washington, D.C. next year.
Yep.
He'll no longer be able to steal $25 million a year.
That's a lot of money. Final game, Big C, goes to Sunday, 8 o'clock, actually 8:30 kickoff time on NBC Sports. The last year's rematch of the Super Bowl. The Atlanta Falcons 3-2 at the Patriots 4-2. It's a shame what happened in the Jets game with the Patriots. And we know Atlanta's been losing games at home. That game, Chris Collinsworth with the play-by-play with the great Al Michaels and Michelle Tafoya. I just want to get your thoughts on what this means. People talk about the rematch, but we have two quarterbacks who are really still trying to find their way. I know Brady was banged up a little bit in this game, but, you know, Ryan's still trying to find himself, Big C, from being last year's MVP. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, America's going to be introduced, Charlton, to the most beautiful, lavish stadium ever built in America.
Yeah.
The new Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Just a marvelous structure of architectural genius, Charlton.
Yeah.
But this Atlanta Falcon team, Charlton, is 2 plays away from being 1-5 on the season.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
They were 2 drop passes away in the Bears. I mean, 2 open drop passes that would have scored touchdowns when they played the Bears opening game of the season.
Yeah.
Very questionable call against the Detroit Lions when it looked like Tate had scored a touchdown.
Yep.
But this last week's loss against the Dolphins, Charlton, was remnants of the Super Bowl, okay?
Yeah.
Freeman was gashing the Dolphins in the first half. The Falcons had a 20-point lead, and I think they had something like that in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Freeman had 68 yards for rushing in the first half.
Yeah.
In the second half, Charlton, he touched the ball 1 time out of the backfield. He had 1 rushing play in the second half. Where in the Super Bowl last year, he had 3. Okay?
Yep.
Matt Ryan forgets, and I don't know if it's a short attention span or he doesn't I don't think they limit the playbook for him, okay? But it seems like at halftime they limit the playbook.
Yeah.
I don't know what they do. That's just my take on things. But when you take Devontae Freeman out of the offensive scheme,
Yeah.
With this, but Matt Ryan will go out and throw for 400 yards against the Patriots, okay?
Yeah.
He's going to throw for 400 yards this week against the Patriots defense. They have the worst pass secondary in the defense.
Yeah.
I mean, the NFL.
Yeah.
But also, the Falcons have the worst second half defense in the NFL, okay?
Yeah, that's true.
The Patriots have a guy, I'm trying to remember his name, has won 5 Super Bowls.
Yep.
Yeah. Brady, Tom Brady,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
And he has this receiving core that's getting better.
Yeah.
All right?
Yep.
It's getting better. So Matt Ryan will go out and throw for 400 yards against the Patriots. But he won't help out his defense.
Yeah.
Because he'll have them on the field so frequently that Tom Brady come the second half will bring the Patriots back and they'll win by a field goal.
Well, you look at the Patriots looking for the 187th, actually 188th consecutive win at home. Well, on the season for Tom Brady, 188 wins if they get this win against Atlanta. It should be a great matchup, seeing 2 teams that are well coached, and they were all fighting for all the marbles last year. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Bondini Brown. He was Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young man, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
What I'm looking forward to, Charlton, is that game tonight against the Yankees and Astros. This is for all the marbles.
Yeah.
To see who's going to be playing the vaunted Dodgers and Chavez Ravine
Yeah.
next week, Charlton. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I mean, we're going to have a tremendous weekend of college and professional football,
Yep.
NBA and NHL hockey, Charlton. But it's tonight's game with the New York Yankees that everybody had counted out halfway through the season, but Joe Girardi brought them back.
Yep.
And they have these 2 young bats, Charlton, that were just in Double-A ball 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And now they're leading the Yankees to a potential 28th World Series victory.
That's incredible, Big C. You know, the Yankees have been there so many times. Should be great baseball, great football weekend. Everybody be safe. And you can tell every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide. Follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and the good old boys down south. As we always tell you on every sports program, there's never, ever an excuse for domestic violence. If you know any woman in trouble going through that garbage, please call 911 so she won't have to deal with it on her own. And as we tell you on every Big C Sports program, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.